but I'm excited to stretch today with y'all. Okay, it is 6:46, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. But once again, as always, we're gonna start laying down on our mat, blanket, whatever you'd like. This will be a 30-minute class. My name is Novi, and I'm excited to be teaching y'all today. Let me think. Once again, a goal that I wrote down that I have for our class today is really find some lengthening, not necessarily in our muscles, but I know we'll be going into a twist. So really finding that length from one hand to another to open up any joints. And then we'll end in standing today. So I'm really excited. I want you all to be prepared and ready for your day. One more announcement as I get started laying all the way down. I still don't have my watch. I will be picking it up from College Station today. So I will be glancing at my phone occasionally to get the time, but we are going to get started closing our eyes, allowing us to melt into whatever surface we're laying down on. Noticing how we are naturally breathing right now, noticing what's rising or falling. Now we're going to go through a whole body check. So once again, starting off with our toes. Just noticing they're there. Feel free to wiggle them a little bit if we want to get those cracks and pops out. We'll slowly work up to the ankles, maybe rolling them out as well. Just noting if we feel any pain, any soreness in our body, moving up to our calves and our shins. Moving over to the knees. Appreciating them for how hard they work for the body. And over to the quads and the hamstrings, seeing if they're sore, especially as we move up towards the hips, noticing what's tight so early in the morning. And moving up to our belly, seeing what maybe feels good. Are we hungry? Are we definitely not hungry in the mornings? Are we craving that delicious coffee? Or maybe tea? And then moving up to the heart, our chest, seeing if we're tight as we take a deep inhale. And now our shoulders, seeing if they're rounded into the mat. And then for our head, our neck, wanting to try to elongate our neck. So you'll notice for me that my gaze kind of sits diagonally up like this, but we really want it straight up. So elongating the back of the neck, allowing your gaze to come right perpendicular with the floor. And now we're going to do just something similar, kind of more like a mental checkup. So seeing how we're feeling emotionally today. Maybe you woke up feeling great. Maybe you woke up feeling stressed. Honoring any type of emotion, knowing that neither is bad. We always wake up with some cortisol in the body. Maybe thinking of something we can do today to make our day great. If it's not already this class, maybe thinking of a little treat you can get yourself, some time, or maybe it's giving yourself that time to complete that project or that work. And we'll go ahead and start our breathing, trying to allow our nervous system to relax today. So we inhale through the belly, we cater that air right around the belly button. As we inhale, the belly button raises up towards our ceiling, the sky, wherever we are. And as we exhale, we invite the belly button back down into the rest of the body, sinking down to the spine. And this is our belly breathing. We want to connect with our body here. And feeling free, especially because we aren't in an in-person class, but even if you were in my in-person class specifically, feeling free to breathe as loud as you would like. If that exhale needs that sigh of just feeling free to take that sigh today. And we'll take 2 more breaths. Starting to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Let's roll out the ankles and the wrists. I still don't know if y'all can hear the pops in my ankles and my wrists, but if you can, once again, I apologize. I'm starting to bend the left knee, and we'll slowly begin to maneuver it into the chest. We can always bend the opposite knee, so the right knee can bend, or we can leave it straight as we bring that left knee into the chest, rocking from side to side here, and rocking the leg more than we're rocking the body. So we open up the leg to a degree, we send it to the outside of the body, and then sending it back across the body. And so taking this as slow or as fast as we want, we still want to try to keep the movements here very dynamic. So we want that blood to rush to these muscles, oxygenating them before we start with the rest of our stretching today. And now bending our right knee to come up, we're going to take our ankle, placing it right on, placing the left ankle on the right knee, rocking from side to side for our figure 4. This is a great place if you have space to put out your hands to the side. Making sure both of our shoulders are staying down. We want mostly our hips to both be pressing down, but I do have a little bit more mobility. Once again, even if it feels really good to hold, trying to find that movement here. And we'll take 1 more breath before we switch sides. And switching feet. We can either straighten or bend that left leg, and we bring that right knee in for a big hug. Same thing, taking that knee to the outside of the body, still trying to keep that left hip down, feeling free to put a hand there, and maybe crossing over to the right, or excuse me, to the left side with the knee, just stretching out that glute, and we open back up. And this move can be dramatic. You might be more flexible than me because I'm always very tight in the mornings. And then same thing after maybe 2 to 3 more, getting set up for that figure 4 stretch again. So if the left knee isn't already bent, we'll go ahead and bend it here, planting that right ankle on that left knee. And then once again, our hands can come out to a T or maybe a wide V, and starting to shift from side to side. And now, after our next breath, working both knees into the chest. We give both knees a big hug, squeezing here. And then we can either hold on to one knee or use momentum. We're eventually going to work our way up to seated. So there's a bunch of different ways we can do that. We can also roll to the side and then push our way up. So I am going to face y'all with our seated things, but you can face whatever direction you would like. And we're going to start off today with some neck rolls before we move into any of the rest of our spine series. So Starting to bring that left ear and left shoulder connected, seeing how we like this lateral bend, and then allowing the chin to roll first. Rolling over to the other side. Right shoulder to right ear. And I still like to take my shoulders down and away from the ears, even though we're encouraging ear to shoulder. And then taking the chin back to the chest. We're going to alternate between these two sides before we introduce that whole circle range of motion. And taking this maybe 3 more times on each side. And whenever we're ready, we can start to bring the chin up, allowing that spine to shorten, and then take one big dramatic circle. I recommend rewinding the circles and then going in the opposite direction, just so that you don't have to keep track of how many circles you did in one direction. Because you don't need to count in the mornings. And let's take 3 more circles, maybe finishing up one side or the other. And then here, I am going to turn to the side as we finish up, because I really want to stress our spinal health here. So I want the back of our neck, same thing while we were laying down, to reach nice and long. We have the spine here sitting up, not exactly tall, but as if someone is pulling a string, and the back of your head kind of angles up. And we'll start to inhale the hands all the way up towards the sky. And as we exhale, I want our hands to come out to the side. Our elbows form a 90-degree angle, just sit like this. And we want to build that chest open. We take the shoulder blades together. Taking this big inhale, option for our tailbone to press out behind us as well. And as we reach up again, taking a breath, big inhale here. Exhale, we press the hands forward. The spine presses back behind us. We're taking some cat-cows from a seated position, but we're adding in those cactus arms. So taking this at our own time, I like to bring my hands up, inhaling, and then squeezing the shoulder blades together, opening up the chest. And then exhaling as we move into our cat pose. And then once again, if we're feeling up to it, we are more than welcome to take the pelvis and shift it underneath us so that the spine can reach further back. But knowing that that's just an option. I got an abdominal ultrasound. Gosh, I don't even remember when it was, but at some point in the last few days. And I was like, she's going to be so impressed by how well I can hold my breath. And I was like, that's, I think, only a thought that a Pilates instructor or a swimmer would have. And I don't think she was impressed because I did struggle at some point. But let's start to wrap up our stretching, maybe taking 2 more of each. And finding that neutral spine again when we're ready. We build the shoulders up, we build the neck up. I'm going to check our time and we are doing perfect. So starting in, once again, I'm going to face y'all. We inhale both hands up to the sky. And dropping the left hand down, we find that lateral bend once again, trying to find length between the pinky and your bottom hip. So these are counterproductive together. And we usually do our mermaid here, but this time I want us to focus on the twist. So taking our left hand, moving it maybe farther behind us, finding that dramatic twist of the spine as we bring that right hand either down in front of the knee, or we can even bring it in front of the knee. And pressing up with both hands, we inhale back up, starting off with the lateral spine stretch first. Once again, building the pinky and the hip away from each other. And exhale, we twist back down. Let's do this one more time on each side. Inhale as we come up. Exhale, we give those ribs some room. Finding that twist when we're ready, or if we'd like to. If maybe the twist is just not feeling right to us, feeling free to stay in that side bend. Or even going back to some of those neck rolls if that felt best to us today. Reaching back up, meeting me when we're ready. We're going to reach the palms all the way out in front of us now, seeing how far we'd like our spine to go. And we want lots of room on our mat, so maybe getting set up facing one direction. And then building the palms back up. They can come away from the mat if you would like, but shifting the knees behind us until we're on all fours. I have taught this in this class before, but I think we have a few new faces since then. So let's go ahead and take the right leg. And we're going to take the right toes behind us. Once again, nice and long, thinking of that length. And now our left hand is going to reach up and away from us. So I'm going to turn towards the left side of my mat, opening up, noticing the shoulder blades here. Inhaling here. And then we come back to center, maybe taking a child's pose if we'd like, so the hips connect with the heels behind us. Inhale, once again, we come back up. We're gonna switch to that opposite side, so the left toes reach back behind us. This leg isn't floating, so those toes are grounded. And then once again, now the right hand will reach all the way up as we twist open, and still finding that length, maybe between the pinky and the opposite hip. Reaching back, taking this at our own pace. If we would like to hold that stretch, knowing you're more than welcome to. If maybe one side feels a little bit better than the other today, taking note of that as well. We'll do this maybe one more time on each side. Making sure our elbow is staying nice and soft, the one that's supporting us. It's really important to protect from any of that hyperextension as well. And we come all the way back to all fours. So spreading out our hands here so that our wrists have a little bit more support. We're going to allow our toes to reach for the mat underneath us, pressing that tailbone up as high as we can towards the ceiling. And let's start to walk our dog. We lower one heel, And then lower the other, lengthening the back of the leg. I like to say pedaling here. I think pedaling makes a little bit more sense than walking. Maybe that's just my own brain. We want to find those ears right between the biceps as well. So almost our chest is like it's pressing out away from us. And now allowing both knees to come all the way down once again. We are going to build our way up to standing. Let's inhale both hands up. And I'm going to face the camera once again, but I also recommend that you'll turn onto your mats laterally so that we have lots of space here. We're gonna find our gate pose today. So let's take out, I'm gonna do my right leg first. And instead of having this leg in line with my body, I like to take my leg and move it at an angle in front. So I like to move it up to maybe the tip of my mat. The obtuse angle in my hip just feels a little bit better while doing these movements. So inhaling our hands out to the side, and I might have not given myself enough room to do this, but we reach one hand down, and then we find a nice side bend here once again, reaching that other arm over, having graceful hands. And we want to build the ear and the shoulder away from each other on the bottom, still keeping those shoulders and that neck strong. We have a slight bend in the elbow here, and then using our core, working ourselves back up. And now we're going to reach our hand closest to the foot over to that foot. We find that counter stretch. We reach here as well. Maybe looking up at the elbow or looking right in front of us, keeping in mind that shoulder and that ear distance on the opposite side. Beautiful job. Let's go ahead and switch sides. So same thing here, inhaling the hands out to the side, shifting maybe first so we reach over towards or away from the foot, and then reach that palm all the way overhead, sending the ribs up, maybe we're more flexible on one side, noticing those tiny things, and then once again making sure we have a slight bend in the elbow. Pressing ourselves on up. Sending it to the opposite side. This hand reaching for either the foot, the shin can fall anywhere, but making sure we're not putting too much pressure on that knee joint. We want to be either above or below the knee, finding this counter stretch. And releasing. And let's take both knees back onto the mat. I'm going to, actually, I recommend that we all turn as well. Taking it back to our downward dog. And next, allowing our hands to walk back to a forward fold. Allowing the head to hang long here. And let's start to wiggle the toes on the left leg. And we, bending the knees as much as we would like here. I forgot to mention that for our forward fold. The goal is to feel a stretch in the hamstrings. If we need to bend those knees to feel that, knowing you're more than welcome to. But I want us to step forward just a little bit with our left leg. And the right leg is going to turn perpendicular. So we send those toes away from each other. So my toes are pointing you, while my left toes are pointing towards my dresser. But we shift our hips towards the back of the mat, opening up through the chest once again for our triangle pose. And one more option is to take our knuckles of the hand that reaches up and wrap them behind the low back. And this is a great place for a block if we have one, but I recommend bending the elbow and stacking it right maybe on the shin or up near the thigh for a little bit more support. Taking 2 more breaths here. Unwinding back to our mat, and we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to switch sides. So stepping now the right foot forward, the right toes are facing the top of the mat, and now our left toes are going to shift so that we can point towards, for me, I'm going to be pointing towards this opposite wall. And finding a good level for us to stand, then opening up to the other side, we shift the hips to the back of the mat. Maybe wrapping the hand behind the back as well. And taking 2 more breaths here. Starting to reach up, we unwind, we turn back towards the center. And making sure we have a lot of room here, meeting me in a forward fold. We're going to walk our hands over to the right side of the mat. Beginning to slowly lift all the way up, we're going to make a big circle, tracing our hands on one side. We open up to the sky, big inhales, we reach both hands up. Exhale, starting to lean over towards the opposite side. We find that side bend. And then we fold over as we reach back to the bottom. So we are making one big circle. We'll go one more time in this direction with the hands. Exhaling once again as we cross that midline and reach back. Chilling out at the bottom, going over towards the other side now. So we'll do 2 circles in this direction. We open up. Exhale over to the other side. And let's find one more circle here. Brilliant. Staying right where we are on our mat, starting to peel the spine up if we're not already in our standing, rolling the shoulders back and down, standing with lots of confidence. Let's take our palms. I'm going to step back a little bit so y'all can see me, and place them right at the side. The palms face whichever direction the toes are also facing. Taking slow, long breaths together here. Thinking of our intentions this week or maybe today. Thinking of some gratitude as we exhale. So finding that goal, finding that support for ourselves, knowing what we want on our inhale. Finding some thankfulness for our body, for maybe a friend. Staying in our mountain pose, feeling that blood rush to the fingertips. Letting your body know it worked hard today. We'll do one more breath all together. Let's begin to raise our hands up towards the ceiling. We circle them up. And exhale, they come all the way back down. I'm going to move over closer to the computer just in case. But if y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns for me, please feel free to let me know. Once again, my name is Novi.